back to Mothers Refreshed. This is a series where we're talking about motherhood, the joys, the triumphs, the complexities, and everything in between. In our previous episode, we had talked about postpartum, that time after a woman has given birth to a child. And I think one of the questions that I was left wondering, do you think, ladies, the postpartum experience for a man is different from a woman's experience?
Yes.
How so?
I say, well, naturally, obviously, we do all the work in that aspect, but I think it's more of the emotional side of things.
For them.
For them.
Yeah.
Because they're now having to look at us kind of now full engaged with the kids, knowing that, do I be selfish? Do I ask her, like, can I have some lifetime? Or am I being too needy? So in one of my previous vlogs, I wrote that when you're pregnant, he's pregnant. When you're going through certain challenges, he's going through certain challenges. He may not experience it the exact same way, but definitely he's feeling it in a different way. And sometimes men are not good communicators.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and they want to present strong. They want to present that they have it all together because they're supposed to be the head of the house, the one to protect you and cover you. But I feel at times they are scared as well.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to communicate that.
Do you think that women are aware of that there's an experience that the man is going through, even though he may not be articulating it? Do you
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends, yeah.
On what? What do you think about
Just
when you say that?
I feel like to me, I may have that awareness because of my educational background. So doing the social work and, having to consider how other people feel and, the jobs that I worked, and it's don't treat others how you want to be treated, ask them how they want to be treated. Because when I'm upset, I want to be hugged, but somebody else, that might throw them off and make them more upset because that's not how they want to be when they're feeling that way. So you really just have to learn and understand and ask people and just check in every once in a while.
I like that, check in.
Yeah. I'm thinking about mental health during, again, the postpartum time, and how oftentimes for women in particular, the mental health is really, really low, right? The mental well-being. Have you ever done something that you may not necessarily be proud of, but it was what you needed to do in that moment?
Yeah, I think there's many times where I've had to apologize for my kids for yelling at them for silly things, splashing out of the bath too much at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm alone with all 5, doing bedtime feeding every night, except the weekends. So I have to rely on like the 3 of them bathing in the tub while I'm getting the newborns, to bed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you guys, and the washroom is right next door to their bedroom, the twins' room. So I'm like, you guys have to be quiet. But then if they're not quiet, Mama comes out and says,
Stop
Mama
splashing.
Unleashed. Or just be quiet, like it's nighttime, we're unwinding, like shush. Quiet voices, we're calm now. But then I'm like, I'm asking a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, or an almost 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old to be quiet and to do all this by themselves. Of course, they can't do that. So why am I yelling? But then I have to yell, or why do I have to yell? I don't know. I have to stop and. It's just like an automatic response because you're so tired and you're so exhausted and you have all these things still on your mind. So and you just want to go to bed, and then you still have these 3 to get to bed, and
Oh my goodness.
it's just so much.
Wow.
So I find sometimes I'm like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry. Mama had to, I lost my temper with you, and I tell them a lot. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm really tired, and sometimes when I'm tired, I do things that I may not be proud of, just to get your attention and to go to sleep. And but I also acknowledge that modeling apologizing to them is good, because we're not perfect human beings.
Yes,
We're not
good.
super people.
That's good.
We are people and they're people, and we all have faults, and we have to know how to grow from those faults and know how to get through it together as well.
Yeah.
So-
Even when, like, say, for instance, you throw a temper tantrum because you're tired, for example, right? Does it, like, do you feel better afterwards After you've apologized. I know,
Oh,
no,
after
sorry,
the
you're right.
apology.
So you throw a temper tantrum, you don't feel good.
Yeah,
Nobody's,
no.
because it's not behavior you're proud of, right?
Yeah.
But after you've apologized, does that make you feel better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah, and then I know that I have to change my, my ways the next day and moving forward. And
Figure it out.
I do tell myself, I said, they're not going to remember this in 4 years. They're not even going to remember this tomorrow.
That's
so
a good, it's good.
they don't remember things.
No, yeah.
Even at 4, I said, my kindergartner still doesn't know how to tell me about her day at school. So I said, okay.
You're in the clear.
They forgot the teacher from last year already. I'm like, doesn't everybody remember their kindergarten teacher?
Yeah.
But no, they don't. So I have to say, okay, we all have our moments, but we
Yeah.
have to just keep moving forward and try to make each day as good and pleasant as it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else had a moment where they're not necessarily proud of, but it was just what you had to do in that moment or what you did and you're like, oh, oops.
It's not really a moment, it's a daily thing
Okay.
where with teenagers, I feel they want to talk to me about certain things, but because I'm just hearing the 3-year-olds all the time, just nonstop, I'm having a phone call and I'm like, guys, this is important. You heard my background. It literally sounds like I have 10 kids or more, right?
Yeah.
So when the teenagers want to have a moment with me to tell me certain things, like when I'm resting, because
Yeah.
they're like, you're not busy anymore. And I'm like, I know, but not right now. And I was like, hold on. I don't know what you're saying. I can't process it because I'm like, this is supposed to be my rest time. Or if I'm in the bathroom, and my teenagers, I'm like, I'm in the bathroom. And then they just start talking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm in the bathroom. Or they'll say, I'll wait on you to get out.
I remember I heard that. I'm
I'm like, I don't want to get out.
I don't want to leave.
Is the bathroom your safe place?
It used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until my kids could pick the lock.
Yeah.
Oh my
The older
goodness. Yeah.
But I do feel bad, and
Yeah.
I apologize sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I'm just really tired. Okay,
Yes.
what were you saying again?
Right.
But I'm finding that they're trying to catch me on my downtime.
Yeah.
But then my downtime was supposed to be my me time. But then now my downtime becomes
It's-
time for them to come
Right.
in. So I'm still not finding that me time,
Yeah.
and I don't know where to find it.
Yeah.
I just need maybe 2 more hours in the day, and I'm good.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great.
2 more hours in the day.
What
yeah.
can we ask?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever feel like, first of all, there's not ever enough hours in the day, first of all. But do you ever feel like you're never doing enough? Do you ever feel like you're doing enough? There we go.
No, there's always something to do, it feels like.
Or more, what you could have done a little bit more than what you already did. And then you plan for the next day, and it just doesn't happen. Because you just go with the flow.
Yeah. And then sometimes you just don't want to do it. Like sometimes I just want to sit and watch Days of Our Lives. And that's just it.
Yeah.
And that's enough for me.
Not
Please
even
let it
sitting
be.
watching Days of Our Lives while folding clothes. Like you don't, not that.
I
It's
try, but
I just
sometimes I'm
want-
like, no, I just
Yeah.
want to watch it, and like I just want to be in the moment with the show, and that's it.
Yeah.
No phone calls. I have to tell friends, I'm like, I just need some me time. And they start talking. I'm like, no.
That's not
I
it.
just don't want I can't turn my phone off, which is just annoying that I can't because I have so many people contacting me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wish my phone would just magically just cut off so I can have an excuse
Yeah.
of just not responding to people.
Yeah.
But then when you shut down, that's when people kind of check in because they think something is wrong.
Right.
When you just want some me time.
Yeah.
I think you just learn to accept. You learn to accept that the dishes will stay in the sink another day. You learn to accept that your growing pile of laundry is just going to move
Keep
from the
going.
bed to the floor, to the bed to the floor to the chair,
Yeah.
and constantly
gonna
until
relocate.
you decide to actually fold
Yeah.
it. You know,
Until you get the
intentionally.
energy to put it away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
accept that
Yeah.
pillows will probably be on the floor at the end of the night, and say, okay, they'll be
that
knocked
toys
down again
will-
tomorrow.
And
So
toys will be in your bed.
that's okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one moment I had, I'll be honest, is when I had the newborns come home, and David finally came home because he had to stay in the INCU for 3 days. So that was a hard adjustment.
Your son.
My son,
Yeah.
one of the twins, going back and forth. And I can't bring the second twin with me, so thank God I was able to leave him home with his father and my other support with my sisters.
Yeah.
But it was like in the nights where, they're waking up every hour or two. and they were just crying. They're just crying. And I'm feeding. David had a reflux issue, so he couldn't keep things down. And poor baby, he would just eat and then throw up. He's crying now because now he's hungry. So I'm gonna feed him again. So breastfeeding was my go-to for all first two kids, but the twins, I only lasted like 3 weeks. Because I think I was honestly stressed out and I was tired and there wasn't just enough supply to go to them. But I literally just had them like this and they're crying and I had to put on a worship song because I'm there bawling because I'm tired. I haven't eaten, I haven't showered.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't do this. Am I insane?
Yeah.
Why am I here? And I honestly had dark moments where I wanted to just put them in the bed and walk away
Yeah.
and say, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because I thought about them and I knew that they needed me to show up. But at one part of me just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Why did I sign up for this? I don't even think I'm a good mom.
Who signed me up for this? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's those moments where, you know, sometimes I draw to and I realize, you know, it's hard, but I do it because I love them.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else that's going to advocate for them
Yeah.
but you.
Yeah.
To add on to that, I said there's a phrase I had to keep reiterating to myself in those dark moments. And it said, I was chosen to be a twin mom.
Wow.
I was chosen to do this.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that choice, you know, that gift, you know. And I had to tell myself I was chosen because again, I was in that mindset of wanting a fourth. So why the fifth? Why did I get that fifth thrown in there? You know, why did you get two sets of twins?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I had to tell myself I was chosen for this job. I was chosen for this job, and that keeps me showing up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Children are a gift and they're given to us to steward, right? And if heaven above believed that he gave you these beautiful bundles of joy,
Yep.
he gave them to you for a reason because he trusted you
Yep.
would do good by them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps me motivated, knowing that I was given the opportunity to show up for this child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Julia, what motivates you to keep showing up for your twins?
Just no other choice. You gotta scrape yourself off the floor every single morning and get them dressed and fed and
Yeah.
carry about your day and just make it to bedtime every day.
That's the goal.
Make it
That's the goal.
Make it to bedtime.
That's finish line.
Yeah, that's the finish line.
That's the finish line.
It's a little earlier than last night. But
Yeah, even better.
even better.
Wow.
But most of the times it's later and then
Yeah.
so just survival sometimes and just getting from one nap time to the next or one, week period to the next and just taking your little bits of rest.
You were sharing earlier that one of your children has Down syndrome, right? How has that, like, even forget about that knowledge, but just the lived reality, how has that impacted your mental health, especially in the earlier days when you're probably still learning what this means for you and your family and for your little girl, little boy?
The twin?
Yeah.
The twin
Boy, yeah. Like, what? How did you handle all of that?
Still struggling.
I'm still foggy.
Still struggling.
Yeah. And how old? How old
They're
is?
3 now.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I had a prenatal diagnosis that I had amniocentesis at 17 weeks.
So you had the foreknowledge.
I did, but it was really difficult to take that knowledge while being pregnant and essentially having a choice of what you're going to do about that. And they literally frame it that you could selectively terminate one of the fetuses, but it has to be in a certain time frame so that it doesn't put any risk onto the other baby. And they told me that and we were past the point at the time that it was done, that it was safe to do so ahead of time, so we had to wait until 32 weeks, and they were born at 32 and 1. So they chose for me. Like, the choice was already made, it was a non-issue, but my daughter was destined for this world. And so knowing that I was going to be bringing in a daughter with Down syndrome, you're prepared, you're mentally, you have the time to process it, to grieve.
Yeah.
And it's still a daily grieving process.
Yeah.
You grieve the life you had expected for your children. Their possibilities of, you know, what they're going to become,
Yeah.
how they're going to be received by society.
Just as day-to-day things that you're
Always,
contemplating. Wow.
always.
Yeah.
And since then, her brother, my son, has been diagnosed with autism. So I'm dealing with a lot of special needs parenting and a lot of behaviors, specifically from my son, screaming and a lot of sensory issues. So constantly being on edge, on alert of who's responding or reacting to what, if I need to adapt anyone's environment. My daughter just started walking 9 months ago because of just delays.
Yeah.
And so, you know, having twins, but really having two babies at different developmental ages and stages was very difficult.
Yeah.
And explaining to people that yes, they are twins, and one is a little bit smaller than the other, but she's not a baby any more than he is.
Right.
He just turned 3.
Yeah.
So they're not babies, and she's not a baby. She's got her own needs and issues that she's dealing with. And so just in the comparison of twins, from the beginning, from those beginning ultrasounds, we were constantly comparing to make sure the growth was the same, to make sure she was just as healthy as he was.
Yeah.
And that's always been my touchstone, as that she has a direct same age peer.
Right.
And so if we're looking for what other similar kids do or what other milestones they hit at certain times, well, I'm always going to look to her brother because he is their exact age, her exact age peer. So I've had to advocate a lot for that twin relationship in that.
Yeah.
And, you know, yes, they're individuals, but a lot of the times I'm saying what meets the eye, there's another half to them. And there's a lot more than just this individual person. There's a lot more that goes into their personality than just.
And you will forever, like we said before, you'll forever be advocating for your children, like forever, right? I've worked with children with special needs for 13 plus years, like many, many years, and all different, you know, Down syndrome, autism, like just developmentally delayed. Like I've worked with so many different children, and there's so much that you learn. Like I found for myself, I was like they were constantly teaching me new things, right? And it's really beautiful. And I think one of the questions I wonder is where do you get your support from? Because you keep showing up, and it's not an easy task. I think we've established that to be a twin mom, right? And then of course like there's this added layer for you and your story. So you know, where do you get your support from? Where do you draw
Just
support?
the love I have for my kids.
Yeah.
Bringing them home from the hospital, I knew that I was bringing home 2 babies.
Yeah.
And they needed to be fed, they needed to be changed, they needed to be cared for.
That you knew.
And that didn't change between the 2 of them. They had the exact same needs. So the difference between them is they're just 2 individuals that rely on me every single day, and I need to keep showing up for them to make sure that they're continuing to meet their milestones, to continue that their growth and the development is still on track. And you know, there's a whole extra layer of therapies and appointments that
go along
makes
with it.
everything more challenging.
Yeah.
So just balancing that.
I think, you know, reflecting on the conversations that we've had today, reflecting on your own personal stories, the things that you have shared, the things that you haven't shared. What words of encouragement would you leave for the woman on the other side of the screen who might be struggling in the same ways that maybe I don't even know about? You haven't even opened me up to that side of the world. What words of encouragement would you say to her?
It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
With age, with time, with
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day is a different challenge, but it's a different joy.
Mm.
So it's a really good balance. And just knowing that you have these little people literally just looking up to you
Yeah.
to guide them, right? Like it's a rewarding job and it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be okay.
Mhm.
Like
That's good. Yeah.
you know, like don't feel bad for feeling like you didn't do your job or you're not a good enough mom, right? Because sometimes the world sees you at this as a super mom, but sometimes we beat ourselves up like
I missed the mark
I'm
today.
not doing good enough, and then it just
Yeah.
takes for the little kids to go, mommy, I love you, mommy, you know, it's just the simple things
Yeah.
that shows you that you're doing. And I used to ask the older ones when we were younger, like, am I a good mom? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, why? And they're like, because you give us food, you bring us on the road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they give me food. It's just as simple. Like,
You need to hear it
you
though.
wouldn't even realize, like, the little that you do seems so much to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It
So-
gets better with time.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be okay. Yeah.
I say never to judge another mama. You know,
Yeah.
don't assume that
That's
you know
good.
her story.
Yep.
I'm very strong on everybody has a story, and there's so much underneath that you have to dig deep when you get to know somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have it that bad. But the second you start saying, you know, even if you go to the park, right, you're like, oh, that mom's this, that mom's this. Oh my God, that mom's having like a meltdown over here. Oh, this one looks like she got everything together, her fancy, you know, wagon and all this. You know, you start getting into this labeling or this judging,
Yeah.
but then you get to talk to somebody. And you're like, whoa, like this whole new can of worms is opened, and you dig deep with somebody, and then you realize that, you know, on the outside, if something looks all put together or whatever, again, it's the trap of social media, I find, right? Like whatever you put on there, like I would love to do a date night or something, you know, and spend more time on that. And I'm like, oh, how do my other mom friends do this? How do they take trips? You know, and I look at that and I'm like, oh, I want that too. But you can't get in those traps, you know. I say you have to stay focused on you and your story and not judging what like other people who knows what they had to go through to get on that trip or to go on that date night or to be here today, you know. We don't know that, so I think it's very easy for moms to look at other moms and just judge, and you can't. You got to get down and you got to figure out the story.
Yeah. I love that. There's so many layers to our story.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot of work to do things to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
I think people underestimate that as well.
Yep.
So it's not just easy as rolling out of, well, for some people maybe, but for a lot, it's not as easy just to roll out of bed and be like, okay, I'm going to do A, B, C, D today. 'Cause sometimes it's A and then straight to Z and then back to G and then I.
Yeah. And you're rolling with it.
Yeah. Or specifically being a twin parent, you know, you get that, oh my God, I've always wanted twins. You're like, really? So you know that you're up about 4 to 6 times a night. You're covered in double the amount of goop. You got double the amount of diapers. You're double the, like, oh, you want to sign up for all that? Okay.
Yeah.
Right? But like, why do they always like saying that? All like, I don't know if you guys get it, but I always get that now. And I'm like, seriously.
You've got your hands full.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Take some of the load off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus just keep it
Yeah.
to yourself, maybe. Because
Yeah.
it's not the right thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Or
those
double the
comments.
trouble. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
double blessed. Thank
There you go.
I
Yeah.
hate that one.
Yeah.
Double the trouble.
I just
yeah.
throw it on them all the time. They're like, oh, I do like that, doubly blessed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Don't
Yeah.
watch your tongues around my children, please. Don't say that.
Yeah. Anyone else? What words of encouragement? 2 more.
I would say keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I think earlier we were discussing, one of us said, oh, it was me, jeez. The days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
Just
I
keep
love that.
going. Just keep going. I'm going through it right now, what I had to go through just to be here. So just keep going. That's the only thing I can say.
Because what happens when you look back? Like if you look back to the beginning.
I say I survived because I remember when I was, you know, I was getting the diagnosis for my son and, hey, your son has a heart condition, and I cried and I'm going to be separated and I'm going to be a single mom. I never wanted to be a single mom. I'm a single mom with 2 sets of twins. Nobody's gonna want to talk to me. I have 2 sets of twins. You have 4 kids. Whoa, get out the way, you know?
Right,
Yeah,
right,
no,
right.
Or whatever. And I cried and I did all that, but I'm here today, and I'm gonna cry about what I'm going through right now. And in a year, I'm gonna be like, oh, I got through it.
Yeah.
So just keep going. You're always
Yeah.
gonna, as you said, you're gonna breastfeed your kids. You're gonna cry. You're gonna want to put them down and exit the room, and you're gonna cry, but you still get up the next day.
going.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
gotta keep going.
Keep going. That's powerful. And especially to know that you're in school again. Like that's incredible to me. Oh my
As you
goodness.
said, it's a high stress. I don't. There's something wrong with me. Like,
But that's the thing. When we're
You
growing
are that
We
environment.
function.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
That's all.
function in high stress, and why would I pick a career where I'm looking after more people? What's wrong?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, you're a nurse taking care of more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of one day. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, like,
wrapped up in a blessing. You never
Yeah.
even, yeah.
I hope so, cause
Yeah. It takes a special heart to take care of other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
when you need to be taken care of,
Right?
Yeah.
when you haven't been taken care of,
Yeah.
it's
A
it's
servant's heart.
Yes.
servant. Oh, I like that. I never heard that before. The servant's heart.
Yes.
A servant's
Yeah.
heart.
I think I've learned in this conversation just one, the importance of community, having
Yes.
support.
Yes.
You can't do it on your own. Like nobody can do it on their own. But I think even bigger than that, just the resiliency that's built within you when you're given more than what you think you can't handle. I think the learning is that you were chosen to be a twin mom. It's a calling. And even though you're crying maybe right through it, when people see you, when people don't see you, at the end of the day, it's building something in you. And you're going to land, right? And you're going to land in a place that you would have never imagined.
We're
Thank
on this
you.
journey for a reason, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Purpose.
Yeah.
I think it's because some people have asked me like, how do you do it? You're such a super mom, and I hate those labels, to be honest,
Yeah.
because they don't know how much I'm doing or handling or shuffling.
Mhm.
But I would say this to any mom, like you said, keep on going. I would say find that self-care time, even if it's just 10 minutes to take that shower. I place down my kids right at the bottom of the tub, in a sense, at the side, and I'm peeking out, you crying, and I put on some worship music, and that's my time. Or I go for a drive in the car. I love that. You said doing nails.
Yeah.
But anything that makes you happy in a moment, if that's reading a book, if you can, sitting down, watching Netflix, talking to a friend, doing your hair, whatever it is, find that moment, find that center. Because when you do that, it helps you to rejuvenate and be able to just go, breathe. I've learned something when I attended, and you'll know, Preach This. And oftentimes we keep going, but we don't rest. I didn't know how busy I was until I looked back on my week and I saw on my phone and my calendar all the little appointments that I got going on, things that I got, like, because I used to remember everything. But now it's like I can't remember sometimes.
You
what
need that calendar.
what
Yeah.
I ate yesterday. But rest is so important. If God Himself had to rest on the seventh day, why can't I not rest? Right? And when you do rest, you're a better person for your kids,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
And if you don't take the time to rest, your body's going to do it for you one day anyways.
Yes.
So
And you don't want that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was highly stressed one year and I got Bell's palsy, and it shut down the side of my face.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I've never met someone else who had it. I've also had Bell's palsy as a child.
Because we work off of high stress.
Yeah, you see, there we go.
But I didn't
I've
know
never
how
met-
stressed
yeah.
I was until one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm just like, what's going
Oh,
on?
wow.
And then I was drinking coffee and
And
it
I
just,
come out the other
my
side.
friend's like, what's going on? I'm like, I did not know the paralysis, how aggressive it was, how it took over because I was just so stressed out. My doctor told me I wouldn't be able to get full functioning of my face. I said, I curse that. It's not going to be me. But I say rest. It's very important. Your mind is going, and if it doesn't shut down at night, because we're up, like you said, how many times a night, right? Breastfeeding or bottles or whatever, changing diapers. We need to rest. So rest, and don't feel guilty when you take a nap.
Yeah.
Take a 30-minute nap.
And it's okay to ask for help. Like, that doesn't mean that you're weak. I think people need to realize that as well. Like, when I went away for my birthday, like I mentioned, my cousins had a party and they sent me a video of the twins eating corn with them. And I was like, just so happy because it's like I'm away, but my girls have family. They have family and they're with them and they're happy and they're enjoying this time. And so
Yeah.
it's okay to take a break sometime and not feel guilty about that. And it's not a sign of weakness or anything.
Thank you, everyone. This was lovely. I think what we've highlighted is everybody here, the panel, had the one thing in common. You all were at least mom to at least one set of twins, right? But then you can see and hear the differences in your story, the uniqueness of your story. And my hope is that, as women in general, that we really tap into not the differences, but the commonalities, the things that we share in common, right? And use those differences to then empower, share tips and tools, right? Like all of those different pieces. Look to see how they all kind of come together. So that is my hope that, on the other side of the screen, that you are walking away with some form of empowerment, some form of encouragement, that you're able to relate to the stories that were shared today. So I want to say thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you, visionary. Thank you so much.
Thank you for saying yes. That's what I want to say to each and one of you. It took a lot for you to be here. Some that wanted to kind of bow out at the last moment because I know a lot of things are going on at home. But I just want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for doing this for you.
Yes.
I hope this brought any healing or anything to the forefront to your mind of realizing who you are and how great you are. So thank you for showing up.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I didn't know how to end, so they're gonna have to